Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Guys, I want to nominate this as the best thumbnail of the year thus far.
It is. It is.
I mean, anytime you got a guy with a red tie, sports jacket, and folder AK with the stock folded, of course, not extended, with a mask on at the ready, ready to gun down civilians in front of the Kenyan Parliament. I think you gotta go with that. This picture just screamed to us thumbnail, so I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Council on Future Conflict, episode 387. My name is Scott, the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today, we're talking the Kenyan Meltdown and European Schism. And of course, I'm joined as always by Joe and Watcher. Joe, how are you doing today, brother?
I am good. The whole folding stock AK thing is one of my favorite pieces of drip there. I will point out that unlike nearly every other combatant in Africa, they're at least in the kneeling position. So
yeah, that's right.
But they are
and
doing
they have a curb they could take cover behind if it really got hot.
Right on. And the other thing though is that like every other nation that fields the AK as a weapons platform, they feel the need to fire it from the folded stock position, despite the fact that they would be immensely more accurate if they just unfolded that thing. Hit your target with this one easy trick, but they won't do it because it looks cooler this way. So anyway, it's crazy.
Mexican Ironman's actually spent $4.99 in order to preempt what we were going to mention here during Watcher's introduction. And probably, let's just be honest, it's almost its own part of the odds and ends. Will be the banning of Watcher over on Twitter. Joe, you've already been vocal about this. This morning, Don has been. Don kind of took the lead overnight and fired out a tweet that's gotten quite a bit of response. I know all of us have been retweeting it. So as you can see on the page here, Watcher's Twitter X account has been purged. Evidently, there was a large purge last night. The only kind of common thread that I think, Watcher, you were saying before the show started, the only common thread is they're all vaguely right-leaning accounts.
All anti-woke.
You never see this on the left, right? A mass purge of accounts. And when everyone got all mad at me about 3.5 months ago, when I said, listen, if you really, really want to know where Elon stands, he would fire all of the former FBI employees who work in his safety department who do things like this. And yet here we are today.
Now,
2 days before the debate, this is not a mistake.
No, look, I don't want to start any rumors here, but
was the last tweet that's the last tweet I saw of yours.
I'm just saying that maybe there is something more to this whole dark, shadowy seed oil lobby than meets the eye. You know what I'm saying?
I tell you what,
you start asking the right questions, and you start receiving flack because you're over the target, baby.
The more I read about the seed oil stuff, the worse it sounds.
Watcher is just over here like Jesse Ventura. I'm just asking the question.
That's right. I'm just asking questions. Yeah.
But seriously, keep on it. I know that this has happened to a few, and they got their accounts back. I think most famously it happened to Clay a little while ago, and he got his back because he was like, I literally didn't even tweet that day. So,
and yesterday in the Purge, Vicegrad got banned, and their account is back up, but I guess it's not completely reinstated. So we will, if you guys would, I know not all of you in the chat love X like we do here on the council, but if you are an X user, head on over there, find Don's tweet, or make your own tweet. And, basically hashtag justice for Watcher, hashtag no Watcher on X, no peace. There we go. That's right. Mexican, good to see you, brother. A lot of other
question we should pose to the chat. I have 2 polls for the chat. Poll 1. Who is worse to irritate on Twitter? The Trump can do no wrong people or the NAFO bros?
Look, I still say that we need an option 3 on that poll.
I know.
Second,
Yeah,
this
that's
reminds me that I didn't have YouTube open.
Because yesterday I implied that maybe picking Vivek wouldn't be Trump's best choice. And I was informed how I'm obviously some sort of liberal who's going to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump can do no wrong, is what everyone pretty much informed me. I said, just look at his history of hiring people. I mean, literally, that's.
Oh, speaking of, am I alone and in the dark when I say that, boy, if he picks fucking Pompeo again, you know it's over, and you know that he learned absolutely fucking nothing.
Oh yeah. But anyway, there's
Pompeo,
that.
What a nightmare.
And the other one, hey, Watcher, throw up that photo of Liz or the Liz poll. Liz Wheeler would like to know which one of these is the best headshot for her.
And just give us a simple 1, 2, 3, or 4, right?
We all know the correct answer is 1, but y'all let me know what you think.
So we have a 1, 2, 3, or 4.
And let me point out, this is actually an outstanding gal. She gives a lot of speeches against the trans agenda. I hear she has a dashing security agent who goes with her these places. But she's actually doing a lot of good work out there, trying to stop kids from harming themselves, and she should be supported.
In the chat right now on YouTube, sorry, we don't have this functionality on Rumble, but on YouTube, we have a chat. And it's most annoying are NAFO bros or Trump can do no wrong, folks. So if you would please jump in there and let us know. We'll check back here, in a bit. All right. Let me. So, hey guys, real quick. I that whole Vivek thing. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I don't know that it's the right answer, but at the same time, there were so many other people out there that were in the kind of the pool that I'm so glad he didn't choose if he's going with Vivek. Now, Vivek has his own perils.
I think the better choice for Vivek is a cabinet position.
I think so too.
Well, if I could give my why I think this is happening, I think that the decision of whether he picks Vivek or not hasn't been officially announced, and I don't think it will be officially announced until he figures out whether he's going on house arrest or not. Because I think the reason you would pick Vivek is if you knew that you were not going to be able to be out on the field, because Vivek has been the best other presenter so far.
Oh, 100%. He absolutely bodied all the other people who were up for it when it came to the interactions out there.
But if he knows he's not going to be on house
every
arrest,
word he says, right?
True. No. I'm not. I completely agree with you, Joe. I don't trust him. I don't think probably he does either. I think the calculation is literally just hey, who has the skill to carry my campaign for me if I can't?
I just had too much digging into the guy's past to put any trust in him whatsoever.
He is exactly he's the babysitter that seems great but hasn't have any good kind of resources yet, right? And that's what Vivek is. He seems like he's a good fit. He says all the right things, but Joe's exactly right. There are some things in his past that they don't sow enough doubt for me to be against him, but they also bring up questions, right? And so he's going to have to find a way to earn a little more trust, I think. But that being said, his words are the correct words. His policies are the correct policies. So, Joe, so many people try to put words in our mouths. I'm trying not to put any words in his mouths. But at the same time, it's kind of like they say in Missouri, show me, right?
But at the same time, this other guy said, we're going to have a big, beautiful wall. And we don't have a big, beautiful wall.
Well, let's be honest. He was a rookie politician taking on the hardest political job in the world. Let me just put it this way. I have more faith in Trump 2.0 than Trump 1.0. All right. That being said, that's not our topic today. Real quick before we jump into it, of course, I want to just kind of take care of some business. As you guys know, we are entirely user supported here on the Council on Future Conflict. So if you are of a mind and you want to let us know what you think, the best way you can support us is throw in a super chat. $10 super chat will shut us up and read your chat as soon as we see it. And then anything less than that, we'll get to it when we can. If it's about a topic, we try to get it within the kind of time we're still talking about that topic. And then, of course, another way to support us is the memberships. That's a good $5 a month type of way. You can do it once and then let it kind of go. If you see the names with the little what are they, like little stars next to them, they're green versus black in the YouTube chat. Those are members. You can both become a member yourself, or you can donate memberships to the chat. And if in order to get the donated membership, you've got to have that turned on. And I think it's the 3 dots up at the top where you set that up. All right. So there's that. And then God forbid you don't want your donation public. There's always the Griff link in the description. That's a PayPal link, and we just kind of, if you have a message on there, you can send a message that way if you want, or you can just say thanks for what we do. And then if I haven't shilled enough for the channel, I'm going to shill a little more, because we have some new stuff over on the Land and Sea Paradise campaign. So this is my graphic novel that I'm putting out in conjunction with Blaine Pardo and Brent Evans. Blaine, as you know, is author extraordinaire and helped me write this story. Well, he helped me write the story, and then I wrote the script. And then Doug Franchen is the artist. The letterer is Eric Weathers. The 2 new things that we have here to talk about is the $1 digital ash can. So what this is the first 29 pages of the story in black and white, so you can kind of get a good preview of what the story is going to be about. Granted, this is more of the first half. There's a little bit of action in there, but ultimately that's where you kind of sets the stage for the action that will happen in the second and third acts of the book. So it'll give you a good idea of what the characters are, what the art looks like, all that kind of jazz. So that'll be coming out. Actually, we'll start shipping that next week, I think, because we're putting that together pretty fast, and that ships via email. So it's just a PDF. So that is $1. So for the low price of $1, you can get that. And then we also have a miniature. Where is that sucker? I guess it's still hidden, maybe. Let me just reload it. Yeah. See, is it still hidden? Well, anyway, we've got a miniature coming. I guess it's still hidden. I'll have to unhide it. But
I can grab the images from a different source. Hold on.
Yeah. Just if you could throw them. And the miniature is a resin printed miniature that is going to be $25. They're for the Land and Sea tabletop game, but this miniature is exclusive to this campaign. The Rhino is available with us for the first time. And there will be some packaging. Do I plan on doing a physical ash can? I may print some off for the meetup at the beginning of August. So if you come in August, you that may be something that we could hook you up with. So we'll see about that. But we don't plan on doing a physical ash can through the campaign.
Here we go.
Yep, here we go. So they've got Land and Sea is part of a broader IP. Part of that is the novels, part of it's the graphic novels, and eventually it will be a tabletop miniature game, tactical miniature game. And this is the Ashers, the kind of the robots in the series that, well, they're not really robots. They're like kind of big power armor because there's a guy inside there. But this is the kind of the key unit involved in this world. And so This will be the first time you can get it. The packaging will be exclusive to this campaign, so there will be some collectability factor if you're into that type of thing. And if you're not, it's just a cool little model. You can paint it or you can leave it virgin like you see here in the picture. Size wise, what is that about? That's about like this big. Is that about right, Watcher? If you can see my fingers.
So I'm
not the size of my head, but
I'm told that it is 6 inches by 4 inches by 1.5 inches.
Okay. So anyway, it's a pretty neat little deal, and so those are new parts of the campaign. And I'm gonna have to unhide that perk, but I'll take care of that here while the show's going on. All right, that's all I got for that, gentlemen. Let's jump right into our odds and ends here today.
Based on people's comments after I said what I said about the wall, it's the Trump people.
It's the Trump.
Yeah, they informally filled that out, eh? But yeah, let's bring ourselves to our first story today. Who remembers Laura Loomer?
Oh yeah.
Remember when I shared this with you and I said, let's just keep Laura Loomer out of it, and here she is. All right.
Well, I know, right?
The irony is that she actually is one of those Trump's never wrong people, but just because you can't. Just because you don't like the messenger doesn't mean the story isn't true to point. So this is her post. Jihadis plotting to disrupt first presidential debate in Atlanta. Hamas supporters from a group called Palestinian Action US are calling on their radical Muslim and leftist supporters to stop the debate between Joe Biden and President Trump that is scheduled to take place on Thursday, June 27th in Atlanta, Georgia. That's tomorrow night, if I'm correct there. Tomorrow night, stateside time. Yeah. In the post below, they posted to their Instagram accounts. These Palestinian terrorist supporters are calling on all groups, tendencies, and networks across the country to mobilize for the first 2024 presidential debate in Atlanta. The group says there is no candidate against the genocide in Palestine. This is the big kind of bone of contention for them, is that both Biden and Trump are avowed Israeli
let me say
supporters.
this. In 2020, they hid this fact, right? They claimed that the protests were all about George Floyd, but until you went there and actually got their handouts and listened to them speak, you didn't realize they were against both sides. This time, they're saying it up front and in the open, that we don't want Biden, we don't want Trump, we want a Marxist revolution. The fact that this event has been declared by the DHS as a national security event has significance. It gives the DHS certain extra powers, and it also authorizes a lot of things to defend the building that the event is occurring in. We do this with like the Super Bowl, we do this with international sporting events, all kinds of big things, the Olympics. But this thing has been listed as a national security event. So this could get really ugly really fast. We will see what happens tomorrow night, but there's going to be something. Might be worth a watch. Maybe a stream. We'll see.
Joe, this could.
Well,
this
honestly,
kind of
I was wondering if we were going to do a presidential debate reaction stream, anyways.
That's not a bad idea.
It's not.
I mean,
but I think YouTube specifically has said that they will axe accounts doing that.
Yeah. So
really? Well, you'd have to do it on Rumble.
Rumble and X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Who knows? X might actually account for anything these days.
I actually don't think I would be able to attend, but I think that would be very cool if you guys wanted to do that here on the channel. It would be Sans, Scott, but and it would be also, then we could do a wrap up on Friday morning for the.
We could actually watch or do sort of a split screen, right? The debate and what's going on outside.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that was good. Make it a lot more entertaining too.
So, yeah, no, I think that's the thing. One of the things I think is interesting about this, Joe, is and I'm hesitant to really talk a lot more about this until we start to see some real movement. But there is a very real likelihood that in the next week or two, Israel's going to launch an offensive into Lebanon against. I keep saying I keep saying Lebanon the way in Tennessee there's a city, but it's called Lebanon. I keep wanting to say Lebanon instead of Lebanon. But yeah, against Hezbollah, who have been really taking, and even in the last 24 hours, we've seen increased strikes by Israelis against Hezbollah positions in the south. There are a lot of Hamas, Hezbollah, and IRGC operatives in the U.S.
Hezbollah essentially owns the Dearborn Heights area, so that would be
like
very interesting.
They traded the Golan Heights for the Dearborn Heights.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but it's a dad joke, I guess.
And we say Lebanon as if it's actually a state. Lebanon is a failed state, and Hezbollah is the real power there.
It is literally a corporate proxy of Hezbollah, and to that,
which is a corporate proxy of Iran
of the IRGC. That's exactly right. So anyway, very interesting the timing on this, and absolutely, and they're calling on not just Hamas supporters, but they're calling on all of their all the channels. And I think let me go back to that tweet.
That one right there lists it all: against destroying the planet, against exploiting the poor, against police militarization. I mean, they're literally calling all cars here.
Yeah, they're basically saying all the the organized channels within the anti-democracy resistance on the left within the U.S. And it's pretty obvious. And then there's I just kind of going through this, and then the deeper you go, it's like when you remember back when Glenn Beck started peeling back the onion skin on the whole Acorn thing when Obama got elected. I mean, these protests are exactly the same way. So yeah, it's kind of it kind of gives you a headache after you go into it too much. All right. Anything else on this, guys? Let me ask you this. If they show up in force, what does that protest look like? Or is it a riot and actual attempted violence? And maybe even a penetration of the venue?
Listen, they disrupted the congressional baseball game. They disrupted many events and ran right up on stage. They're not going to slow down here. They're going to do everything in their power to rush up there. But the Secret Service being the Secret Service and there being the former president and current president in the building, it's going to get ugly. It is going to be very ugly. So,
yeah.
I think it's for sure going to be a disruption. I think whether it goes past that or not depends on which groups may or may not decide to use the dumb college kids as a cover.
That's true.
Actually, well, if bullet sponges, right?
I hate to keep pointing to this, but predictive programming, right? You remember the scene from Civil War at the beginning where the girl runs into the crowd and blows herself up? Entirely possible here.
Oh yeah, you're talking. You're talking about this. Yeah, the Civil War. Yeah, I loved how they gave zero context to that incident.
To the riot that was ongoing, and she just ran in there and blew herself up. That's on purpose. And somebody told me and another guy on Twitter that no, they weren't painting conservatives as terrorists. The guy goes, they literally painted someone waving a flag as a terrorist. He's like, they never did that. And we both said the scene with the girl carrying the flag,
right into the here I think what they're trying to do, in that case is they're trying to give as little information as possible so that you can kind of imprint your own kind of prejudices on the scene. But ultimately, when you put the flag in, oh, I got to open the Rumble chat. I saw you there. Sorry about that. When you put the flag in the girl's hand, you're saying something very obvious about that person. Rom for $5 over in Rumble says there is no debate planned, only some dirty trick. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's true. It's gonna be an ambush. And listen, I have to stop the blasphemy in the Rumble chat. Do not compare Donald Trump to Jesus Christ, please. That's just stupid. Don't do that.
Honestly, when I hear you say that, my very first thought is it's a leftist bot trying to make Trump supporters look ridiculous.
Well,
absolutely, it's just dumb.
The sad thing is that if you look at the Trump narrative, or the Trump arc, I hate to say it, but if you're going to align him with some biblical person, it's more likely to be the Antichrist than
or right
than the Messiah. That being said, I don't think Trump is the Antichrist. That's obviously Baron Trump. I'm sorry.
Hey, be careful what you say about the new Caesar.
I know. I actually thought about that after what is it? Sargon of Akkad did like a new Caesar or something like that, a Caesar moment, or it's a new video. It's actually pretty good on what brought Caesar about, and the kind of things that are going on now would actually kind of lend itself to a kind of a new Caesar type of populist.
Oh man, this has been a meme for a while. Somebody didn't,
and y'all can't dispute me on that one. But anyway,
see, Steve's right. Steve's right here. Of course, you're just showing my biblical ignorance. Yes, the Antichrist would be something everybody loves.
Well, so anyways, I've seen it edited together where the AI image generated a bunch of Baron Trump grown up but very Romanesque statue-y thing, and then put it over My Little Dark Age, and it was
well, they recently took that profile of him and then compared it to like Octavian and Caesar coins and things like that. So it was just happened to be a profile.
Should be clear for anybody wandering by in the chat. Am I saying yes? I want him to be our new Caesar? No, I'm saying it's eminently memeable. It's
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let us go on to our next deal here. So, Douglas McGregor, we talked about him actually the other day. He was on fire today, and we've got two separate things from him to share.
I actually remember this incident when it happened, right? So
right.
Blaine, I got to correct you. With purchase of watcher of equal or lesser value.
That's right.
Or
actually,
equal or greater value. Yeah.
I'm going to open a perk on my my campaign that will help incentivize Twitter to the free watcher. So you can go over there and donate to that. So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Douglas McGregor says, breaking investigation reveals Russian plane carrying Ukrainian POWs was downed by U.S.-made missile. According to Russia's investigative committee, senior military officials in Kiev were implicated in the downing of a Russian transport plane that was transporting Ukrainian prisoners of war for an exchange earlier this year. The Ilyushin IL-76M aircraft was allegedly shot down by a Patriot interceptor missile, a U.S.-made weapon, on January 24th, as per the investigators. The crash resulted in the tragic deaths of all 65 POWs, 3 Russian guards, and 6 crew members who were on board. Wouldn't that be a pissa, as they say up north, a pissa, if you survive the combat, get taken prisoner, only to get killed during the...
while you were on your way back home, you were being exchanged. But that doesn't surprise me, and I hate to say this, but it wouldn't even surprise me if the Ukrainians knew POWs were on that plane, because they want no positive press getting out about the Russians, and an exchange would be positive press. And it's sad. And when do we stop calling these things by their NATO reporting names? Why is it not a candid? Why are we going with IL-76?
Well, IL-76 is the nomenclature,
It was much cooler when we had our own secret code names and we could feel cooler. As everyone who takes my classes know, we use acronyms and code names because it makes us sound cool.
That's right. Hollywood call signs for the win on the radios for sure.
Yeah.
What's funny is all the kind of the NAFO bros down in the chat saying, "Oh, he's such a Russian propagandist." If you think him reporting on factual information about the Ukrainians killing their own soldiers is propaganda, well, maybe that says more about you than it does about
Scott. I know we didn't have it scheduled, but do you have that link handy for that Mersheimer video? Because I think before we move on from the Ukraine thing, I feel like that's it's worth a play.
Yeah, give me a second on this.
I'll take your time. I'll pan for you. By the way, thank you, Blaine. I appreciate your support in the effort to free the gentleman known as Watcher, who's certainly not me, as this broadcast is on Twitter and Watcher is banned on Twitter.
Karen O asked a good question. Who was on the plane? I wonder if there was a certain Canadian general they want the entire world to forget about who was not board that plane.
Woo! Vaporized.
For those who don't remember, the Russians famously yanked a Canadian 3-star general out of a pipe at the Azov metal plant. And the Canadians tripped over themselves, announcing that was a former Canadian general, and he had retired while he was already in Ukraine.
Well,
in disgrace under a sexual harassment investigation that occurred like 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for that.
The Canadians tried to Kavanaugh him.
So let me point this out, though, that in any NATO country, 3-star generals, even though they're retired, which he allegedly actually was not, but even though they're retired, 3-star generals don't just get to travel freely, right?
Yeah.
They have to clear all their travel with people and make certain arrangements for their security when they travel and things like that, because even though they're no longer in, they still possess a wealth of knowledge. So that Canadian general did not get in Ukraine with no one knowing. They were going, "Oh my gosh, how did he turn up there?" They sent him there. By the way, he was in uniform when they pulled him out. So
he in a Canadian uniform,
Canadian uniform.
Biological and chemical warfare specialist. Interesting.
Well, yeah, never mind all of the stuff going around on Twitter now about the African, the relocated Ukrainian labs and now in Africa or somewhere.
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe that's why we didn't hear about him, Joe.
Are those the same labs that also have the voting machines from the 2020 election?
No,
being protected by the white hats, and they're just about to win.
Joe,
I'm getting my conspiracy.
Patriots are in control.
My bad. Patriots are in control.
Well, just you remember to have faith in the plan there, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. Yeah, trust the plan. Right.
Trust the plan. That's it.
Plan.
I swear to God, it's so hard to find something once you lose it on X.
We literally just watched it.
Terrible.
I know. But I thought maybe I liked it, but I was looking there, and of course I didn't like it. So now I have to kind of go through and.
Let's see if we can just. What would be? It'd help if I could remember how to spell Mersheimer's name.
MEARSHEIMER.
All right.
Yeah,
I thought the account was Mersheimer fan.
He was talking with Napolitano, right?
No, it wasn't Napolitano. It was two people. It was like three. It was three heads on the screen, and he was talking about Ukraine being doomed, and it doesn't matter how much weaponry they have.
Well, you should look at that. I'll discuss this topic that's popped up over in the
chat.
Over in the Rumble, the PMC issue. The fact that we're announcing that PMCs can be used in Ukraine now is significant because they've always been used. They've been there.
Watcher, go ahead and pop since Joe just talked about it. Hit the PMC one, and then we'll do the Mersheimer video after that.
Okay, but I found it. But yeah,
I don't think that's it.
This is what happens when I don't read the show notes beforehand.
Yeah. Well, it's literally the next thing on the show notes, oddly enough, Joe. So
all right, you got that, Watcher?
Yeah, I just was confused because it's the same guy tweeting again.
Yes. So here's how this works in a lot of cases. I talked about this, and then a lot of guys jumped on my tweet saying, yeah, I saw this actually happen. How this happens in real life with a lot of these contractors is in Iraq, a guy was in a cool guy job billet, and then a contractor comes up to him and says, hey, I see you're about to ship back home, but we need you to stay here. And then all of a sudden, magically, the U.S. government would release him from his contract, and he would sign up as a contractor the very next day and never even leave the country. So when they say they're going to send contract Patriot missile technicians, what they're going to do is at a stateside base, they're going to release 25 guys from their contract and immediately sign them up to private contracts for double the money and send them to Ukraine. It's still sending U.S. troops, for the record. I mean, we did this most famously in World War II with the Flying Tigers, right? We went around to all the services, picked the best pilots and said, hey, guess what? You're going to resign your commission today and sign up for the Flying Tigers Corporation tomorrow and be in Beijing by the end of the week.
Well, in fairness, I think outside of a couple key people, they were all volunteers. But I mean, it was very much a kind of incentivized volunteer kind of structure.
Well, when you go up to a guy and you say, hey, listen, I know you're making X dollars.
Yeah,
and you want to get in this fight, and we're going to double that pay and get you into the fight tomorrow. Not a lot of guys say no. Yeah, sure, it is volunteers, but my point is this. They're going to go to a Patriot unit and get active duty U.S. military service members to volunteer and release them from their contracts. That's what's going to happen here. Because they're looking for highly specialized contractors. These aren't security contractors because they're already there. They've been there from day one. Yeah. What these are air defense system maintainers. These are targeting staff. These are technicians who keep the tanks running. All of these different groups of highly specialized people that they're going to get contractors for. When you look at a company like Constellus or DynCorp or any of the big ones, look at what their biggest job openings are. They're not security contract guys or door kicker guys. They're maintenance people and pilots and things like that they're looking for. And those are the folks they're looking for. Cyber warfare specialists. Hunch nails it. And those guys are going to get a lot of money. $700 a day, tax-free, is literally money you can't walk away from. So
yeah, I mean,
that's $700 a day, all 7 days a week. So
for doing essentially the exact same thing that you would normally do.
Yeah, you're doing for half the money. Yeah.
Hey, you know, watch that Napolitano clip. Just play that one. I think that would work because I just listened to it. So anyway, yeah, just real quick. Let me read this tweet here from McGregor on the contractor bit here. Let's see. Here we go. That was a weird thing. Biden administration moves to allow American military contractors to be deployed in Ukraine. Paying attention. 4 U.S. officials familiar with the matter informed CNN that the Biden administration is progressing towards lifting an unofficial prohibition on American military contractors being deployed to Ukraine. This move aims to assist Ukraine's military in maintaining and repairing weapon systems provided by the U.S. If implemented, the adjustment would significantly signify a notable change in the Biden administration's approach to Ukraine, reflecting efforts to bolster Ukraine's military capabilities in its confrontation with Russia. Administration officials are still refining the policy. Now, here's the thing, Joe. I think there are already contractors to some extent in Ukraine right now, but the difference is that they're employed directly by the U.S. government to do X job or whatever in that area, right? That said, what this means is like, so for instance, you know, if you look at, remember how DynCorp was like all over the Middle East, and they didn't work for the U.S. government. Yeah. I figured you might, but they didn't work for the U.S. government. They were working directly for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They were, you know, for the UAE, for Oman, for all these, you know,
a lot of work for the UN. Yeah,
right. For the UN, right? So they worked. They contracted these U.S. personnel out to these countries directly, and the countries themselves paid. So what this would be is the aid dollars that we send over to Ukraine. Ukraine says, "Hey, we need more Bradley mechanics. Let's get 60 Bradley mechanics through a contract with X Corp, right, or any given PMC corporation.
Ironically,
And
you almost nailed it. XE was one for a while. It's
right.
Academy.
Yeah, that was Academy, right? So it's So anyway, that's what that's all about. I think this is coming sooner rather. Oh, I just found that clip, by the way. It was in the.
Yeah, I also found. I'm pretty sure this is the one from Breaking Points.
Yeah, this is the one.
But my sense is that deep down at this point in time, most people fully understand that Ukraine is doomed. That the only interesting question at this point in time is how much territory are the Russians going to capture before this turns into a frozen conflict. But there's really no way to rescue the situation here. The Ukrainians are simply doomed. They can't fix the manpower problem. And with regard to the weaponry problem, we don't have the weaponry to give them. And we're not going to be able to spin up the industrial base to provide them, even in 2025, with enough weaponry to rescue the situation. But again, even if we give them the weaponry, they have a huge manpower problem. And the Russians just get stronger and stronger. Putin is on a roll. The Russians are on a roll. So I think that what you're going to see here is what I call an ugly Russian victory.
So
I think this is the part where we rightfully say, because Stan's not here and I don't see Rick saying it, but Ukraine's still on the menu, folks.
Odessa is still on the menu. Yeah, absolutely right.
And here's the thing: I hate to say I told you so, but we told you so. We said this within 2 weeks of it happening, that the best solution is to reach a negotiated settlement quickly. And here we are, 2 years on, 200,000 lives lost. Could have solved this all. Not much has actually changed on the ground territory wise in the last 2 years. Pretty much everything Russia has gained, they gained like in the first 3 months, and really we've been frozen since then. So,
well, yeah, Rick, of course. So the irony there, Joe, is that Putin recently came out with a statement saying, listen, it's really easy. You want to figure out how to, here's how you stop the war. We will immediately cause a ceasefire if the Ukrainians agree to allow us, to have, they withdraw their forces from the Donetsk Republic, the Luhansk Republic, Zaporizhia. I don't know if Zaporizhia. Yeah, Zaporizhia and Kherson. So give us these 4 oblasts, right? And we will ceasefire and we will stop molesting Ukrainian. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The rate at which Ukraine is losing the heart of this generation of men is, I think that's a deal. If I'm honest.
And here's the inconvenient truth that we have always pointed out. Ukraine had already lost Donetsk and Luhansk when this started. That's what started the whole thing, them fighting over Luhansk and Donetsk, which had already seceded. Crimea, again, here's a history lesson most people inconveniently forget. Prior to the February Revolution of 2014, Crimea had already seceded, and it had already been approved by the Ukrainian parliament and the Russian parliament. That deal was done. And the revolution is what stopped it. Some might say it's what caused the revolution, but Crimea was already gone. So this continued, we must recover Crimea thing. Ask the average Crimean. They don't want to go back, especially not after you rocketed them on the beach. Oh, and by the way, badly, why were there so many of them on the beach? Anyway.
Yeah. It's hot out, Joe. It's hot.
And Blaine, for the record, it's only the Kobayashi Maru for the Ukrainians. It is not for the Russians.
Yeah, that's right. This is right. This is absolutely Kobayashi Maru time for the Ukrainians because it's a no-win situation. You keep fighting, you're going to essentially destroy yourself against the rocks, right? yeah, you're going to lose some land in the end. It's just a matter of, just like Dr. Mersheimer said, it's a matter of how much land. Now, if you, just in case anybody in the chat ever wants to say that we're simping for Mersheimer, this is the same guy who says that Israeli action against Hamas is illegal. So clearly, we don't have to necessarily agree with all the guy's opinions to agree with this, but he was right.
He has been spot on Ukraine from day one. So.
Absolutely, and he understands how China is playing that game too. So if you want to listen to him, pay attention when he's talking about Russia and China.
And Blaine, I want to challenge you to a thought experiment, simply because I'm tired of them coming after me for a week straight. I dare you to put that it's the Kobayashi Maru scenario on Twitter. And we'll see how many NAFO bros tell you that Kirk beat the Kobayashi Maru scenario, so Zelensky can too.
Yeah, just like yeah, exactly right. Just like Zelensky is going to beat the. Anyway,
oh, yes, I see the similarities. We all remember that famous time that James T. Kirk dressed in strip and did a comedy routine on national television. Oh wait, no.
James Tiberius Kirk is a hero. Boy, I had something and then I lost it. Oh, by the way, Blaine, you're right. Star Trek 2, that is the best of the Star Trek movies. I'm just throwing it out there. You don't get better than Ricardo Montalban as Khan.
Yeah, in his fine Corinthian leather on the bridge of his ship. That's right.
Sorry, ladies, but Benedict Cumberbatch was not as good of a Khan as Ricardo Montalban.
Maybe controversial take here, but the one where the Borg go back in time and try and stop humans from developing the warp drive. Close second.
I'm going to share the link to the check us out on X, because you guys are asking about the. So this is where you can find all of the memes that Rick shares during the show.
They're good. You guys need to go check them out.
Yeah. So this is
this last one that's addressed to Joe. Let's just get this one on stream, I guess. Here you go, Joe.
This is the X link here. So if you click on that link, you too can.
That one is really good. Oh, I said that one was for me.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, go over there, check it out. Hit the like button on some of those. He does it pretty much every show, so throughout. So it's very cool. All right, let's move on to our next
against drones. Listen, some of us had this conversation the other day, and both me and Don Schiff have pointed this out. Drones are just a cool talking point. Their effect is way overplayed. And I'm actually thinking about doing a video with some stuff I've got from the Michigan State Police of them tracking someone from a helicopter with thermals. And seriously, get under trees and you're fine. But what's going to happen is militaries are going to very quickly advance anti-drone technology, and the drone thing is going to all of a sudden become a non-issue. I think that a lot of money is getting poured into anti-drone tech right now. So.
Yeah, I think for organized forces, right?
Yes.
And the other thing, like I chuckled when you said the way you take care of the drone is to go put a bayonet in the drone operator. The problem is not. Yeah, the problem is not the kind of these initial low tech, guy with playing a video game, kind of things. The problem are the Chinas, the Russias, who are going to come out probably within the next 5 years. Very functional, autonomous, basically Terminator drones, right? That
unplug the power to the controller. That's AI.
No. The AI is in the drone, right? It's like once you let it go, there's no controller. There's no signal to jam.
Already working on a short-range pulse weapon.
Right. EMP is the answer, but that being said, it's still a threat to lower tech, kind of like civilians, maybe, so this would be a great feds
except
versus
you could defeat it by getting under overhead cover.
All right. So it is a problem that is not going to go away anytime soon.
Well, and DARPA patented a rifle-mounted EMP to take out low-flying drones. We actually saw a photo of one in that raid from somewhere in Myanmar, where there was an anti-drone rifle laying on top of the pile of stuff seized. So
yeah, and then of course Ron in chat says drones. Are you talking about Democrats?
Ron is a national treasure.
Well, if he hadn't left our group chat, we could send him the link right now. But he didn't want to be buddies with us anymore.
Not everyone is as good as me at learning how to manage Ron. Ron's more right than people think he is. That's the problem.
I like him. All right, so let's jump into our next one here. So this is let's file this under long time coming, right?
But Ron, I'm still not giving you child support for a plant. Carry on.
Assange reunites with wife in Canberra. So after being released and then being basically taking a plea deal and serving time served, right? He's able to get back home to his home of Australia. I think this is Watcher. This is something that's been near and dear to your heart for a while. What's your kind of take on how this is kind of broken out of nowhere?
Well, okay, so for a lot of people that are unaware, for people who've been following it, it makes a lot more sense. Here's why it happened yesterday. Because yesterday was when his appeal ran out. And so the U.S. could then either immediately extradite him during the middle of an election season, during which he'd be put on trial, again, during the middle of an election season. And let's be honest, if anybody still loves this guy, it's the left. He's already fracturing his support in 1,000 different ways. He couldn't bring this guy here right now. And I'm sure that, I'll be honest with you, I think this was probably done by the Biden team directly and probably against the objections of the intelligence community. I think that they struck a deal. I think part of this, the other part of this is, we've always known that Assange had documents he hadn't released yet. I think that whatever was in that trove, part of it was something that they were very afraid Donald Trump would be able to get his hands on, particularly if he had the ability to pardon Assange. And so as part of the deal, WikiLeaks is now deleting everything they have from the U.S. government entirely. And that process has already started.
Hey Ron, by the way, I sent you the link. You're not PNG. I wonder if somebody blocked Ron in the chat, and that's what knocked him out. I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
Oh, that might have happened.
Yeah, that could be.
We'll have to ask around.
Yeah. No,
I should have blocked Ron when him and his wife both said I owed them child support for a plant they're growing.
Yeah, there was that.
Well, getting back to Assange though, like I thought the likelihood of him being released or kind of, basically given the blessing and passed along outside of the U.S., it was when it started becoming a question that some of the libertarian-leaning right-wing people were asking Trump, right? Hey, would you be willing to? Because I think Tim Pool interviewed Trump, and that was a point of discussion.
People were begging. No. Here's the thing.
For a long time, I know.
People were having that discussion with him since he got into office for 4 solid years.
Right, but I just don't think that on the right side of the and the conservative end of the scale, it hasn't been that big of a thing.
I think more than likely what it was is he still thought he could play nice with the intelligence community. And that's literally why he decided not to do anything about this. Is that it's the intelligence community who wants this guy's blood.
Yeah, I think. Well, what'll be interesting is to see if something, if he has a heart attack next year or something like that.
Well, and okay, so that brings up my good point, which is I think the other half of this is, hey, he's now in a much lower security environment. And he's going to be quote unquote out doing regular life shit, which means it's so easy for them to come after him now in 1,000 different ways.
Yeah, it actually puts his life at much more risk being out than being in. So,
well, particularly if they can just rile up some crazy to come after him too, right? And they've got a real hard time doing that, don't they?
I'm just going to leave it at that. But I hear Ron's not available that day.
I saw that he's still waiting for the check. Is what I saw. All right.
So, okay, Michael, we should talk about this. I like the idea of a dead man switch. I think it's a brilliant idea. I understand cryptographically how it can be accomplished, but I have been convinced, not just through Julian Assange, but many others, that it is not technically feasible.
Besides, in this day and age of misinformation and disinformation marking, they would just say, no, that's disinformation. That's not real. It's Russian propaganda. And people would just like, oh, okay.
And I think that is why they specifically have gone after Assange as Russian propaganda. I want to clarify. I don't think what Assange, I do not think Assange did what he admitted to doing, but he admitted to doing it. So proceeding from that, I do not think he did that as an asset of Russia. I think Assange did that as an asset of Assange.
No, Snowden was the Russian spy.
Yeah. Well, I had that discussion today. It's kind of like on the scale of who deserves forgiveness. I think it was Assange deserved it. Snowden maybe a little bit, and then Manning gets no forgiveness. In my book. So
well, and the funny thing is, she's one who's already out.
Snowden might have said things that we needed to hear. That doesn't mean he wasn't a Russian spy.
Exactly right. Yeah. It's because I remember we had a little bit of, I wouldn't say a dust up, but we had a disagreement on Snowden a while back, Watcher. And while it's like there are a lot of things that he said that were right on the money, that didn't mean he didn't break the law and shouldn't be held accountable. Ron, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm outside enjoying a beautiful dawn. Nice brisk temperatures up here in the hills. Yeah, life is good.
Let me tell you, too, having done it, seeing the dawn from Ron's compound is pretty amazing. So I'm a little bit jealous, Ron.
What?
That's sure okay. Your son is here enjoying his sun, enjoying the warmth of the sunlight coming through the window.
Scott's not there.
Well, it could be your daughter. I'm not sure. I mean, cacti are sort of, asexual, so whatever.
So, Ron, I have to say, I know it's probably not on your mind, but it's on mine. How do you feel with local fake Indian man being exposed as not actually being a local fake Indian man?
You'll have to update.
Famous Democratic operative Lakota man.
Who
very publicly has claimed that he is of the I can't pronounce that tribe name, and I'm not going to offend them by trying.
That's okay.
But apparently the tribe has been contacted, and no such record exists.
Yeah, they're like, not only is he not a member, we don't like that guy.
Well, it's like that. What is it? That other guy, that Brooklyn dude, whatever.
Brooklyn dad, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is he like, being outed as a, pedophile or something? I don't know, but something bad. So
there's a lot of that going around these days. Hunch and Dirty Roofer for $10 says the deep state totally whiffed on opening a new front. Could have had an extremist from, say, Indonesia, maybe trained in Iran, take down Assange's plane. Just saying. And then, hi, Ron.
Look, Assange is in Canberra, Australia. There are a lot of Indonesians there. That could still
there's an Australian government that's probably that'll take care of him.
Well, yeah. So if you follow probably one of my favorite YouTube journalists, Friendly Jordies, you'll learn that the Australian government is not exactly the fine, upstanding people you might expect from a U.S. ally.
I tell you what, I was really shocked how bad Australia got during the Rona times.
Have you seen Friendly Jordies?
I don't know that one.
I'm going to share some videos with you later, Scott. We might have to do a Friendly Jordies segment. But before we move on from this topic, I do want to say that a lot of people have come at me and been like, wow, Watcher, for a guy who says you can't possibly hate journalists enough, you're sure defending a journalist. Listen to me. Julian Assange took things that powerful people didn't want us to know and told them to people, just regular people. Does that sound like a journalist to you?
Actually, yes. That's what a journalist is supposed to do.
Well, that's what a journalist should do, right?
Supposed to and do are very different things.
Right. Fair point.
Well,
Yeah.
commenting on your Australian thing there, Scott. Nothing like fascism with a cute accent, huh?
Oh, I know. Well,
Right?
fascists always are well dressed and dapper.
No, that's true. That's true.
Well, we should ask, of the two island fascist nations that have developed, which has the cuter accent? Would that be the kangaroo fuckers or the sheep fuckers?
Wow, Watcher. And you wonder why you got banned on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm friends with both of them, and that's what they call each other.
I'll choose New Zealand because that's the home of Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, that chick is nuts, by the way.
Yeah, but she's still hot.
Even at this.
Poor Joe.
Come on.
You're gonna go off.
So somebody needs to put up the socialist titties meme at this point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Don't
All
fall for them.
right. Come on, I'm a boomer. I like Z. I grew up with.
Hey,
Z-
brother, I'm right there with you.
We're not opposed. We're not opposed.
Yeah, but I'm reading your nonverbals there, Joe. You're looking a little skeptical. Like, my God, old man, go to the rest home quick.
Well, I've always liked that about you, but today just made it worse. I mean,
now is of course the time when we promote Joe's tactics-wisdom.com. Hey, what's going on this week with the website?
I don't know what's going on with the website this week. Allegedly, I updated my training courses section, I guess. There's now a training class in Tennessee that is offered.
Oh, very cool.
So if you're going to be around there, check that out. Tennessee will be the first weekend in November. We'll do field craft. We'll try to walk you off the edge of a cliff. I have a class
That's always
coming
fun.
up. I'm sorry, Ron?
That's always
I've got a class coming up in just a couple weeks in Montana. I've got a few folks signed up for that now. I only had one a couple days ago. We got a bunch more now. I think everyone was waiting the last minute to get their tickets. And we are continuing to get people aware of the date change for our summer event, which is August 2nd through the 4th. I've been assured that a website is forthcoming in the next, 48 to 72 hours, but I've been assured that a couple of times now.
To 11.2 billion hours, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going to be, we're going to have a good time. We have a lot of good people coming out. I talked with Angry American yesterday. He'll be there with books to sign and books to sell, and so will I. And with that combination, why wouldn't you come? But it's good. But Scott will be there, and hopefully Watcher will be. Now that he doesn't spend all his time on X, Watcher might be able to free himself up to come on over. That's a joke, Watcher. It's funny. But anyway, check out tacticalwisdom.com, buy some books, sign up for a class or two, and come on out and hang out. And listen, I had a bunch of people on Twitter over the last few days say, why don't you and Matt just record your classes and put it on YouTube for the rest of us? Guys, it's how we pay our bills. And it's just silly. And by the way, learning something from a video is not the same as actually getting out and doing it with an instructor who can correct your technique or share a life story that matches it. And really the benefit to coming to a class lies not necessarily in the course content. It lies in meeting with like-minded people and having conversations face-to-face. So come on out to a class. Stop being lazy. Get off the couch. Come on out.
Yeah, part of the fun is the camaraderie, is the connections, is, kind of meeting people out there. Hey, oh, you're that name in the chat. I'm this name. And, it's like you already know people, but without even really knowing them. And that's a lot of fun. That's one of the kind of unique things of that kind of in-person thing. One of the problems is we've kind of forgotten how to do in-person stuff these days. So it's just kind of good to see people getting out there and actually meeting people face to face. So I absolutely recommend it. When I'm back in the States, I plan on trying to do a lot more of that kind of stuff. Who knows, Joe? Maybe I can mine the depths of my twisted brain and imagination and find a class that I would be qualified for.
I have a very unpleasant
tactical boomerism is the thing. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
That's true. Oh, hold on a second, Watcher, before you get started here. Just me for 1999. Watcher gets a thumbs up for that one. If I tell you something that's not true, I just wrote G. When the government tells you to do something that's not true, that's disinformation. Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely. If it's absolutely not true and they know it, then it's disinformation. If it may not be true, but they aren't aware of it, then it's misinformation.
I've got a really crappy breaking news story that we really should bring up before we move on.
All right.
Breaking news, according to now Finnish NTSB reports, the vent and burn of toxic chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio train crash was not at all necessary. I agree with Posto here. They literally sacrificed that town, but not just that town, guys. The polyvinyl chloride hung in a cloud over 7 states for weeks.
And didn't they announce a giant settlement for the residents of the town? Or are they trying to get like a giant settlement?
I hadn't heard anything about that.
I thought I saw that on the news channel from last night. So
what's funny is they make these announcements hoping no one will notice, right?
Right.
But you need to notice. You know what? Hunter raises a good point. My fieldcraft class is actually a requisite for recce or scout. Take it.
So, I mean, I'm surprised you guys are amazed about that the toxic cloud thing was, unnecessary. I mean, Pete Buttigieg, our Secretary of Transportation, probably the most awesome Secretary of Transportation ever. I mean, look at how he jumped on the bridge collision in Baltimore Harbor and just, he's got all of his 7 electric vehicle charging stations throughout the nation after billions of dollars were spent.
Has he yet made a statement about the bridge accident?
Well, hey, listen, guys, listen.
Really.
The man might not know much, but he knows how to run a train.
I know. He was all excited. He's like, "You want me to run trains for the government?" Yes. Oh, wait, this is not what I had in mind at all.
I tend to agree with this one here. Cyberpunk seems to be closer and closer to a documentary.
Oh, brother, listen. Whoever said that, absolutely, literally, like years ago. I've been saying this since probably 2016 era ish. Like you're in it. In fact, I used to have a meme on that. You best start believing in cyberpunk dystopias.
You're in it. Pete Buttigieg is wrong. The man is an expert on leading from behind. He comes right up on a problem from behind it and just pounds the heck out of it.
Sorry, Lance Corporal, I didn't see this one, but it's never too late to give Ron a little. Speaking of Lance Corporal veteran for $2 says, "Don't stick it in crazy, Ron, but she's hot."
So we got a funny question. Patrick asks, "Did the Idaho government come after Watcher's Twitter?" I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think this was even a coordinated thing. This seems. Whatever happened, thousands and thousands of accounts got actioned at the same time.
Well, you didn't pay your water bill? What?
Look, I think that Watcher and Danielle, 50 Shades of D, going out on the same day tells us something, Watcher.
I think that's probably true, actually. I just saw that, by the way.
You know what? Here's what's crazy, right? About 50's account. She's literally just a housewife talking about her and her kids most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they ask her account? It's just silly.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into our main topic for the day, gents. And this one's a pretty spicy one. Some of the video may be a little bit on the edge for
should we take it away from YouTube?
I don't think so. I think we'll go with it. Right. Worst comes to worst, we just get a slap on the wrist. We don't have any strike right now, so essentially this is the main story. Then we'll probably go to some X posts after this. Kenyan protesters stormed Parliament. Police fire live rounds after lawmakers unleash eco austerity. The Kenyan capital of Nairobi has descended into violence and mayhem as large street protests by Kenyans outraged by new tax policies and a harsh new eco-austerity program, which is basically an IMF deal imposed by the government, have resulted in the parliament building being set on fire. The legislatures are evacuating after anti-tax protesters initially breached parliament. They quickly overwhelmed police soon after the lawmakers voted to pass a bill which introduces new nationwide taxes, including an eco levy, which raises the price on basic goods such as diapers as part of efforts to curb waste management and to be more environmentally friendly. You know, I mean, this is exactly what we saw in Sri Lanka before the collapse of that government. What was that? A year and a half ago now?
Year and a half ago. And you know what's funny is Kenya was the last stable country in Africa. So it's pretty bad when you're looking at most stable, you go to Mozambique at the top of the list, which is literally outlandish, right?
Maybe Tanzania, you know, is close up there. There's a couple of them that are, but they're tourist countries, though. Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
No, Puntland is most stable now, up in Somali way. I mean, come on.
That's right.
Well, Djibouti, because it has both a Chinese and an American military.
That's everything goes
But you
downhill
notice how all
from
these
Djibouti.
riots broke out as soon as the Kenyan peacemakers arrived in Haiti?
Yeah, well, I've actually got that story in this as well, just as an aside. But
sorry,
as the best of Kenya's police leave, things go on. What I think is funny about this photo is if you notice the guy in the in the yellow there has thrown his backpack in front of him to slow down the impact of the water. So that's actually pretty good. This got really wild yesterday.
That's orange water. That's kind of
it's dyed water so that they're painted afterwards so they can be arrested.
Okay.
And what's crazy is I believe they actually physically burnt down the Parliament building by the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I don't know if it was a complete loss, but there's some significant damage.
Sibley said it first. Kenyans trying to prove me right every chance they get. So.
Right. So the sad thing is it comes back to these patterns in Africa, right? And so they actually, the article here says it pretty well. Sadly, this is all part of a familiar and historic pattern in Africa. The so-called international community and powerful global Western institutions like the IMF regularly induce governments to take on huge debts and then begin to impose from abroad drastic societal reform measures on the population. And in the process of billions being exchanged, corrupt local government figures line their own pockets while imposing stringent and very sudden measures on their own lower classes and impoverished citizens. So ultimately, the little guy gets it.
This is Africa, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. You know what? We have Michael, who is on the ground in Kenya, by the way. So
is he in Kenya right now?
Michael's always in Kenya. Michael lives in Kenya.
All right.
Michael, just recently met a South African who lives in Kenya as well. He lives in Kenya half the year and South Africa half the year. He farms half the year, and he's a guide on a safari or whatever, a game preserve the other half of the year. But yes, you do, Michael. Stop it. You do.
It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you know, I mean, this is just the sad thing is that this is just one of those kind of, I hate to say it, there's nothing new under the sun, and you continue to see the same people getting hurt over and over again. Let's move to the next tweet here. Yeah, so Steve Hanke in this tweet that you can see there on the screen, he had to delete that video, and I think he uploaded the same video or a edited version later. And so this is the video. This is his tweet. Protesters shot dead by Kenyan police during tax revolt. This is the same location that our thumbnail image was taken from, by the way. The revolt was spurred by Kenya's latest IMF deal. As Harvard professor Robert Burrow puts it, the IMF doesn't put out fires, it starts them. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. This is
Kenya's rocking that DPM camo.
I know. Well, this is absolutely the world the globalists have built, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what country is most likely now to come in and offer aid and fix this problem for the Kenyans?
I'll take China for 500, please.
Bing, bing, bing. We have a winner. Yeah, Ron, you want to talk a little bit about this? I know China's been following on our footsteps all over Central Asia, and Kenya makes sense for the next port call.
Oh, God. Kenya's got a great harbor on the Indian Ocean. I mean, Mombasa and stuff like that. But, hey, look, China's sales pitch to the Kenyan government will be, look, our Belt and Road Initiative is a kinder, gentler version of that mean old IMF loan structure, and we're not going to want anything except we need you to house like a gazillion Chinese workers that are going to come in and build the Trans-African Railway through Sudan and over to Central African Republic, and we've got to connect up with our boys up in Niger too, and so we can support the Wagner Group.
Yeah, this is actually truer than you know, right? So they want to get rid of the white British colonizers by bringing in the Chinese colonizers without even realizing they're bringing in colonizers. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's the interesting thing is ultimately is China shows up with money with no strings attached, right? They're willing to, they made you do all this stuff. That's why your people hate you. Just take our money, and we won't make you do any of these social eco programs. We'll just give you money and build roads, and you give us access to this, that,
and naval basing rights, and naval
basing rights,
access, yeah,
airspace, right?
Really do anything. Just give up your sovereignty.
What's funny is for Americans to do business in Africa. For Americans to do business in Africa, we have the Foreign Corrupt Business Practices Act, which prevents you from offering bribes or taking bribes. On the flip side of that, China encourages that and says, "Hey, listen, we're going to give you a loan for $20 billion for this, but there's an extra $1 billion in there that's for you, big guy." And that's why they beat us in these places, right? They know how to play the game in that part of the world, and they're just really, really good at it, better than we are. I'll also point out that, once again, in the book 1984, the war is being fought over the resources in Africa. So,
yeah. Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says the only problem with the Mongols had was too few Mongols. China doesn't have that problem. The problem for the Chinese is that the Mongols, they want the legacy of all the good stuff the Mongols did, but they don't want any kind of responsibility for anybody who makes the Han Chinese look bad. All right, here's our, this is a kind of a side story to this. Just in time not to help in Nairobi. You've got the 400 Haitian police Kenyan police arriving in Haiti. Haiti vows to restore order with Kenya-led forces help. The Haiti's interim president, Minister Gary Conille, has vowed to end lawlessness with the help of Kenyan-led international force deployed to the Caribbean nation. The arrival of 400 Kenyan police officers in the first tranche of an international force with a unique opportunity to restore order, Mr. Conille said, "I want no one to doubt the purpose of the mission. The state will regain power and affirm its authority so all Haitians could live peacefully in this country." Now, Joe, I saw these guys walk off the planes with their folding buttstock AKs, probably drawn from the same armory that utter Chad on our thumbnail drew his folding stock AK. I didn't see any heavy vehicles. I didn't see any armored cars or MRAPs or
that's because
anything.
Kenya has no heavy lift capability, and they can't get them there.
Right, and so unless they're falling in on some like abandoned stuff that the Haitian police has or the Haitian military has, I get the feeling that this is all a lot of show and not a whole lot of go.
Well, let's be honest, although I will point out that in the 1930s, Smedley Butler took all of Haiti with 130 Marines. in all honesty, in a modern urban society, 600 troops is barely enough to hold the Capitol, right? And that's not even figuring in regular routine policing of the streets. That's checkpoints and such.
Hell, they can't even hold the airport.
Exactly right. I mean, there's not much that's going to go on here. What'll probably happen is the U.S. will drop off a bunch of free armored vehicles to them, but that's not enough troops to do anything.
Well, you know, the sad thing is the Miami police force probably has more MRAPs than the Haitian army does. This is a big. What's that, Ron?
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Big Gun 599 for $10 over on Rumble says free watcher. Yes, absolutely something that I think we can all get behind. I will remind you, we got to do some new people that are on now that probably weren't listening earlier in the show. Watcher has been struck over on, and his account has been permanently yeeted according to X / former Twitter. And so if you would go check out the let's see, let me find the tweet here. I don't have X open.
Yeah.
Anyway, Don had or Hilo, what is it? What's his Hilo?
Post in the chat now. Hilo procurement, but there you go.
Oh, it's in the chat. All right. So go over, check out this tweet, give it a like and a retweet, and help and tag Elon Musk and Twitter support to help get this wrong undone.
And
Let's
I deeply
unring
appreciate each and every one of you who's helping.
Yeah. So please, if you'd be willing to do that, let's do. All right. Let me go back to this article here. I did like the idea of the Haitians going to Kenya now. Maybe the cannibal barbecue could go over and have some fun over there. The unrest in Nairobi came a day after President. Let's see. But there's fish. Let's see. The U.S. President Joe Biden welcomed the deployment, saying that Kenyan-led mission offered the best chance to achieve a democratic governance in Haiti. But there's a fierce opposition in Kenya to the deployment, not least because the police are accused of brutality in their own country. Maybe they are ready for Haiti. The latest example being the fatal shooting of protesters in the capital of Nairobi on Tuesday. These cops can honestly say, listen, not it, didn't do it. I wasn't there. I was on a plane flying to Haiti. I didn't kill any protesters. So essentially what they're dealing with are rival armed groups that took control of the capital, Port-au-Prince, earlier this year. If I remember correctly, the gangs now control up to 80% of all of Port-au-Prince, which, I mean, that is significant. What that means is essentially the enclaves in and around some of the government facilities are really all of the government controls. A robust force is needed to tackle, says the UN, which has approved a policing mission made up of 2,500 officers from various countries, including 1,000 pledged by President Ruto from Kenya. Of which only 400 have been deployed. You know, Ron, this is one of those kind of unique situations where, you know, you get these kind of, you know, wazoo UN solutions that seem great, but, you know, these guys have no ass. They don't have the ass to really fight. And B, they don't have any kind of like any stake in it. There's no reason for them to risk their life.
Yeah. I mean, the Kenyans have no skin in the game. I mean, let's remember that the Kenyan government gets, lots of dollars per policeman / soldier that's deployed, like in any UN deployment. And, Scott, you continue to mispronounce city names. It's not Port-au-Prince, it's Port-au-Potty.
Oh, yes.
I just want to correct you there. I mean,
no, you're right. It is a shithole.
I'm just waiting for the Haitian gangs to snatch some of these Haitian police officers and do a little voodoo on a little torture. And I mean, it's gonna the brutality that this will descend to will be, it'll be glorious. It'll be like, wow, this is better than any bad slasher movie we've ever seen. And I'm being sarcastic and trying to be funny about it, but Biden's statement, the best chance to achieve democratic. I mean, give me a break. I mean, these guys have had more chances than and they don't want good governance. They don't want anything. They just, I don't know. It's almost like we should have had the neutron bomb on this place, and like, hey, let's kill all the problem, and then we'll start over again, and maybe we'll let the DR take it over. But this place has been a shithole since the
1880s.
Well, since they overthrew the Napoleonic colonial government. I mean,
the French Revolution, all that stuff was going on.
200 years of this crap. So yeah.
You were joking about the slasher film thing, but watch here. Scroll down just a little further. I want Ron to see the kind of the next piece of this article here. You might have actually gone down too far already. You're how dangerous are the gangs? Okay, yeah. Okay, keep going down. Yeah. There we go. Why is Kenya doing this? And it says here on this picture right here. Go back to that picture that you just went by. Community groups in Haiti's capital of Porto John have been known to hand out machetes to residents. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, Ron. This is only happens in the world of Haiti.
Oh yeah, God!
Those are for clearing brush, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
absolutely.
I'd be worried if they handed out sharpening stones with the machetes. Just because after a few whacks through flesh and bone, it's gonna it'll get kind of dull, and so.
When I was like 12 years old, I asked, as a kid who played D&D, when I saw a machete at Walmart, I wanted that so bad, and eventually my dad bought me one. I was so disappointed by how dull the blade was, and I was like, Dad, this blade's not even sharp. How am I going to cut anything? He's like, exactly.
Hey, I just got sent something that might be why I and many others got banned. If I was a betting man.
Oh, is this something from somebody else or something from actually?
Breaking news. Supreme Court allows White House and other government agencies to continue to press social media companies to remove disinformation. The Supreme Court on Wednesday said that the White House and federal agencies such as the FBI may continue to urge social media platforms to take down content the government views as misinformation.
Let me ask you this. Who decides what's misinformation? How do you prove it?
They just get to declare you as misinformation. They get to say it behind the scenes. You get tagged. You get no chance to ever prove it. You get no chance to appeal. Yeah, that's.
Do you understand now that you're in a slow-moving color revolution?
Oh, I mean, I've known for a very long time.
And Ben Shapiro's famous pick for Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote the opinion for the 6-3 majority on this. So great. Good thing we got a right wing majority in the Supreme Court.
To establish standing, the plaintiffs must demonstrate substantial risk that in the near future they will suffer an injury that is traceable to a government defendant. So you have to have access to all the behind-the-scenes bullshit. This is all such fucking garbage.
We'll be talking about this at greater length on Friday. I have it on good authority that both Sean, our resident legal expert here on the Council on Future Conflict, and Matt, our radio expert for the council, will be here to talk about this. And Matt is always very opinionated, so that should be a interesting show. All right. So let's hit the last thing up. So this is a thread of images and videos that has, I think it's just kind of worth going through. This is, of course, the image that we use for the thumbnail. Now that is what you call drip. He may be a bad guy, but that's a good bad guy drip. Now, Joe, the only thing that would be better is if he had that jacket in the green and orange lizard pattern,
right? That
Metal
Ferrari
pattern.
designed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have long said that the private security contractor's ultimate drip is the folding stock AK, and these guys are really living up to that. I just wish they would extend the stock when they're in a firing position. Seriously.
Well, with the magazine, and you can't even get that stock around to the back. You got to take the mag out in order to roll it back. Let's be honest. The Schmeiser MP40 submachine gun that they stole that folding stock design from. I mean, that looked pretty cool too with the stock forward. But when you're shooting,
shooting a 9mm without a good stock weld is way different than shooting 7.62 by 39.
Yeah, 100%.
God, if only they had bump stocks. Dang it.
I mean, they would be 4 times more deadly, Ron. Don't you know?
That's all right. All these guys want to look cool, and they have zero marksmanship skills.
Well, that, and it's like I like the guy here on the far left who's like, okay, is my weapon loaded? What's going on here? It's not, I can't get the bolt to see what's going on here. Yes. So there's also some good videos. Watcher, there's another good image. This is kind of at the bottom of the thread, Watcher. Go up the thread and see if you can find some videos. What's this right here? This is the riot control truck. I saw one of these going down the street in Turkey one time. I was doing my daily ruck march. Evidently, they were having a protest.
There's something to be said about water cannons. I mean, I remember the Korea riots in 1981. And, the Korean police would come up, the national police would come out with their water cannons. Hey, you clean up the rioters and the streets at the same time.
That's right. It cleans up the blood.
Those streets have been cleaned. So
muss, no fuss.
But, it's amazing that in America we don't use that. I mean, some of these protesters, especially when they like to block roads and stuff like that, man, you put a couple, water cannons, wheel hub to wheel hub, and you start spraying. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But no, you gotta respect people.
Oh, come on, Ron. It's like, heaven forbid the CIA respect people.
Well, good thing I'm retired now. I don't have to respect it.
Well, I was just telling Watcher before the show started that the footage coming out of this event is going to be great for our updated intro when we finally get around to making these new CFC intros. So we'll have to be stealing broadly from this event.
We had best not change the music, though. The music is pretty solid.
By the way, Rom over in the let's see, let me find it here.
That's the speakers staff thing.
Oh, wait. So you're saying this guy is basically Kenyan Podium Man?
He is now.
So where's Buffalo Headdress Man?
Yeah.
Huh.
Don't laugh. There probably was one. Rom over in Rumble said he watched the Wild Geese last night. Loved the British camo. Yeah,
I have way too much DPM camo, and I also have Wild Geese patches on it. So
yes, but do you have a para-regiment beret?
No, I have. I do actually have a Royal Marines beret that was given to me by a Royal Marines Master Sergeant. And those guys are hardcore dudes.
Yeah, man. They are. Well, and I'm glad you didn't steal my para-regiment beret. So, you walked out of the house intact.
What is happening here?
I envied, but did not take.
Hold up. What is happening here? The guys in suits, I think they're security guards. There's a bunch of people outside mobbing the fence, and they are throwing water bottles.
Stay
hydrated. Stay hydrated. Put out the fire.
It's a solid tactic. They're out of flashbangs, right? But the crowd has had them throwing flashbangs at them. When you see the guy make that motion, you see an object coming through the air, you move because you're afraid it's a flashbang.
Maybe they've made MRE bombs out of them.
You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. I mean, what? No, that'd be
improvised flashbang, right? You know, no flash.
Seriously, even when the water bottle hits the ground and explodes, there's a big mist. And
no, Joe, that would be a splash bang.
Oh
boy!
Here it is.
Way to mute Scott. Can you mute Scott?
Open mic night at CFC nightclub. Yeah, okay.
Amen, brother. All right, let's move on to our next segment. Not as interesting, I think, but it is actually potentially way more impactful. We're talking about the European schism, and this is something we've been touching on for years now. But ultimately, we're seeing, I think, probably the beginning of the end of the EU and maybe even NATO. We'll see military organizations tend to have a little more inertia than some of these, political, especially if you were to see a real resurgence of the right within European politics. This is a tweet from Viktor Orban. The deal that the EPP made, by the way, that's the European People's Party. It's the center-right party in Europe. The EPP made with the leftists and the liberals runs against everything that the EU was based on. Instead of inclusion, it sows the seeds of division. EU top officials should represent every member state, not just the leftists and liberals. And so why is he saying this? Well, the reason being, if you go to the next tweet, is it kind of gets into this.
Man, he's just slamming on my girl there.
EU leaders have agreed on von der Leyen's candidacy for a second term. Notice it wasn't the the people of Europe democratically elected von der Leyen. No, that's not the case. She was selected by a group of elites, essentially. Callas will also receive so this is von der Leyen Callas, will receive one of the highest positions in the EU. She has been appointed as Borrell's successor. Europe is entering a spiral of self-destruction. This is, like I said, this is kind of like the beginning of the end. Go ahead.
What do you notice?
They both have crazy eyes.
They both have the fucking crazy eyes, man. Like on a 10 out of 10 scale. Oh fuck! Stay away from that.
What's funny is whoever picked the most unflattering pictures of both of them, and I find it hilarious.
Well, I think we can all agree that the matriarchy is officially a disaster, especially the European version of that.
May the Longhouse burn down.
But here's the thing: the entire point of the EU is that there are no second terms. It's a rotating presidency. So it's a little odd that they're doing this. They're going against their own principles, I guess, is the point.
Yeah, I think it's more custom than rule, but you're right, Joe. I mean, it's just one of those kind of things that it's just generally not done. Here's another post that says, Westerners cry about the lack of elections in China. What elections were conducted to elect the most powerful leader in the EU? None. Ursula von der Leyen is selected by international bankers, military-industrial complex, and their swarm of insiders. Not
the former German defense minister leading Europe? Say it isn't so. I seem to recall this happening before.
Well, you don't want to switch horses, you don't want to switch leadership in the midst of the gravest European crisis since, 1939. I mean, it's important to have that steady hand on the tiller to guide Europe to its ultimate demise.
Well, good thing the adults are at the helm as they drive the car off the cliff. Hopefully, they take themselves down with it when they go.
I just want to say, PD in chat is asking, can someone explain European elections? No.
Yeah, no.
Including the Europeans
are elected by the country's legislatures, right? And then they pick an EU president. But the president of the council is the rotating seat.
Right.
So, look, man,
but here's the other thing.
You remember the image with the gnomes? Steal the underpants, ? Profit. It's basically like that.
But here's the other thing too. Even the MEPs are really just a rubber stamp, right? Essentially, everybody kind of decides who it's going to be. Then they create a coalition of parties that have enough votes to essentially go along with that selected new leader. And then they just kind of block vote. And it's, if you don't agree, then you have no say. All right. Let me go on to the next one here. And so, along the same lines, you kind of reminded me of the leadership of NATO, which is something that kind of was recently decided. This is earlier. It was earlier this week or late last week. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte will be named the next Secretary General of the North Atlantic Alliance. He's the Dutch Prime Minister. He was the Dutch president. Yeah, prime minister. He was the Dutch prime minister that basically just got ousted by a kind of coalition of right of center parties. The White House backed his ascension to become NATO's top civilian official. Rutte will be replacing outgoing Secretary Jens Stoltenberg. In his bid for the job, Rutte has secured support of 32 member states and is expected to officially take over the NATO summit in Washington next month. He served as a Dutch prime minister for 14 years, but reportedly plans to step down. Hungary was the last holdout for Rutte. Prime Minister Viktor Orban said Budapest threw its support behind him after he pledged that Hungary would not have to support the alliance's proxy war with Ukraine. I am aware that the outcome of talks between Jens Stoltenberg and you regarding NATO support of Ukraine, it is my understanding that you stressed that no Hungarian personnel would take part in these activities and no Hungarian funds would be used to support them. During the 2018 press conference, Rutte interrupted when the then President Donald Trump was speaking to disagree with him. Gordon Sondland, who served as Trump's envoy to the European Union, told Politico that Rutte has had a history with him of pushing back when he thinks Trump is wrong, and he does it right to his face. And unfortunately, Trump has historically been proven correct in almost all of his kind of public assertions against European leaders. The swell of support for Rutte comes in part because Western leaders believed he had to be able to push Trump towards continuing proxy war with Ukraine. However, Brussels has failed to implement any concrete Trump-proofing policies. Yeah, here's the thing. Trump may have trouble with the deep state, but he could literally, with a swipe of a pen, just decimate American support for NATO if he so chooses. And theoretically, he could unilaterally remove or change the caveats, the alliance caveats for Europe, for American forces. And the other part of this too is that almost all the major leadership positions throughout, the GO positions are all U.S. GOs, right? USARPAC. I'm sorry, not USARPAC. What is it? USARAF is basically the entire horsepower behind the NATO land force within Europe, and SHAPE, of course, is another U.S. dominated organization. Ron, you've got a little experience in the NATO bailiwick, no?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm still in recovery.
Yeah, same here, brother. I've been, actually, I've got PTSD from my time in NATO, so it's been an interesting recovery.
The problem is as you expand, like, what is it, 32 member states now? I mean, all these folks have different doctrine, different training, different logistics, etc. And it's hard enough, just dealing with the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force and within the U.S. military structure. Now you got to, like, well, the Brits do it this way, the Germans do it that way, and God bless if the French want to do it, they might, but they'll do it totally half-assed backwards, and the Italians and so on and so forth. Gee, many Christmases. And that's why nothing ever gets done. It's the most bureaucratically heavy alliance ever. And I mean, you really want to get stuff done, you got to go down to Patch Barracks in Stuttgart to headquarters UCOM, and then you'll start doing stuff. But it's all, again, it's unilateral. It's not alliance-wise. So it's I don't know. I mean,
The only
But are we
place
going to
I've
talk
ever
about
seen NATO excel is the NATO Combined Landing Force, which is 2 British and 1 Dutch Marine battalions put together into 1 regiment. That's really the only part that works, mostly because they're at sea and away from everything else.
Right,
Well,
and the Dutch and the Brits train together all the time. At least they're different Marine Corps. They train together. But hey, are we going to talk about the PMCs going into Ukraine?
Oh yeah, we touched on that already, but yeah, we can talk about that since we're kind of talking Europe.
I want Ron's take on this one. Ron's got some experience in this
here.
What was on what?
Contractors in
PMCs
Ukraine.
in the combat zone.
Oh, well, as I said in my tweet yesterday, if I could do Mel Gibson's, are you ready for a war? Because, I don't know of any, private military contractor that can go in and start doing stuff, because they're going to go like, hey, we're going to need billeting, and then we're going to need security, and we're going to need logistics support and stuff like that. I mean, we're going to come in and do the training, but we're going to need all this, we're going to need the tail before we can do the tooth. And
well, I was thinking about this, Ron. The irony is if it's all a matter of like, if it's all like stuff in Lviv area, so not anywhere close to the front lines, I think you could probably turn over a lot of that tail, portion to contractors as well. So, you could get, let's say you got American sustainers and trainers coming in, right? Then you just hire a bunch of TCNs for security forces, get your Colombian contractors to come in and provide like, security like we did in Iraq and places like that. Get the Filipino ladies to do the laundry service there. I mean, hell, you could just set up Anaconda, a scale model of Anaconda outside of Lviv all over again.
And who funds all that?
See,
the U.S. does.
Because as a security contractor, even though you bring your own handgun, who hands you a rifle when you get there as a security contractor?
Right.
Ron knows who hands me the rifle. It ain't the company; it's the United States government who hands me the rifle.
Right. I mean, I remember one tour in Iraq. The Blackwater, bless their hearts, they were running these convoys up to Baghdad from Basra, and they wanted our helicopter on medevac standby. I'm like, I don't work for you. Yeah, but we're all on the same team. Yeah, no. I mean, so I did my due diligence. I went and asked the chief. And he just looked at me like, "Are you fucking on drugs, dude?" No, we're not involved in that. And this was all prior to the stuff that happened in Fallujah with the 4 contractors, getting ambushed and hung. But nevertheless,
that was late 03, early 04, wasn't it?
04.
Yeah, 04. So it's a very ambiguous relationship between PMCs and either host militaries or sponsoring militaries. And that's the thing in Ukraine. You really think the Ukrainian armed forces are going to be able to host these guys? Because it's just another grift for Zelensky and company to hold their hand out saying, yeah, if we're going to have these PMCs, we're going to need lots more money to do all this. And that's how we're going to, no, that's stupid. And when you say the front line, Scott, I'm sorry, but if I was the Russian strategist, I'd be putting together a proposal to Putin and the War Council and saying, this front line stuff is like, it's so 20th century because, the Americans have given the Ukrainians permission now to strike deep into our homeland, and we know how precious the word homeland is to the Russians, and they seem to be striking our nuclear early warning sites and air defense sites, things like that. Maybe they're acting on behalf of the United States and the NATO to set conditions for a preemptive strike, and I think the front lines no longer are applicable, and we need to start looking at where we can have the most bang for our buck as far as our deep strike, instead of just schwacking civilian targets inside Ukraine. Maybe there's these railheads inside Poland and Romania that need to be taken out.
Well, the interesting thing there is that, and I was kind of putting my tongue in my cheek when I said away from the front lines, right? Because we all know that Russia probably has one of the most sophisticated deep strike apparatuses in the world, with what some of the things that they've been doing with their mixture of cruise missiles, suicide drones, and the Iskander ballistic, intermediate range ballistic missiles. So I wouldn't feel safe anywhere. And that if you put U.S. contractors on a base, they're going to go a full court press to find out where they are, so that can turn that into a spectacle. We killed all the Bradley mechanics that they just brought in. Ha ha ha! No more Bradleys.
Yeah, well, and I shouldn't say that there's no more front line. There's no more NATO eastern flank. Just to see if I get a rise out of Joe.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Don't make me tap the sign, Joe. Come on.
That's true.
Ron.
You're so funny. All right. Let's move on. So, when we're talking about schism in Europe, it's more than just this nonsense in the government, right? It's just the culture is kind of eating itself. And so this next story I thought is a good example of that. We've all heard about the foreigners get out. What is it? The Alps. I can't remember what's that song. Anyway, they turned it into like a club song in Germany, and of course the AfD, supporters and things like that, we're getting a good laugh out of it. But of course, the German government has basically outlawed the song, and as basically being a neo-Nazi anthem. And here's a story about that. German police responding to birthday party group chanting "foreigners out," surprised by what they find. Germany has featured more and more incidents involving young people chanting "foreigners out, Germany for Germans" over the beat of a hit electronic song. Now police are being deployed in operations to respond to some such incidences. This time, police arrived at a birthday party in Kokum on the Mosel River in the German state of Rhineland-Palatinate, only to be surprised when they learned who was singing the song. Once on the scene, the officers learned that everyone calling for foreigners to leave Germany were actually foreigners. What is remarkable is that in this context, women were all non-German nationals, and only one woman had even any significant knowledge of Germans, said the police department. According to Bild, the only people present spoke Bulgarian, Romanian, and Ukrainian. The police determined that they were singing the song. So basically, it was a bunch of cam girls, held up in Germany during the war to ride out the war. The police determined they were singing the song due to the spread on TikTok and other social media platforms. They were allegedly unaware that the singing of the song faced criminal prosecution, according to the police. Now, guys, can you imagine in a situation in which in America, singing a pop song could get you thrown in jail? This is absolutely clown shoes. I mean, we always laugh about clown world, right? Well, Germany is clown world at this point, and it's it's all over. It's all over Europe, not just Germany.
Yeah. Yes, I can envision that, and I can see that. Hell, I can go to jail for posting a bad meme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in America, really?
Yes, that literally just happened to a guy.
Who got thrown in jail for a meme?
The guy who made the meme about the ridiculous polling location stuff literally just went to jail for like 12 years for election interference.
What's the crime? Oh, is it election interference? So it wasn't a speech thing per se, but it was the content.
It was literally just a meme.
It was literally a meme. Yeah.
Yeah, but Wallarm Corgi for 999 says we won't have to imagine for very long. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think this election we'll start to see a lot more of that. What was the meme? I was totally unaware of this story.
It was one of those like ridiculous, the polling places on Uranus type things. Like I don't even remember what it was.
You're like if you're voting for Hillary Clinton, vote tomorrow, and it was dumb. Nobody would actually fall for it in real life, but
I'm just curious how you can connect that type of thing to any kind of an actual crime in America, and clearly it's covered by the First Amendment. So who knows?
Oh, that was it. That was it. He was the one who shared the thing that said you could vote by text, which is fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
And so why are Germans calling for, what is it? Somebody just posted in the chat here. Rauslanders, yeah. So this is a tweet from Remix News and Views. As violent crimes from foreigners explode in Germany, the media establishment and country's top politicians focus all their efforts on doxing and ruining the lives of a few young people drunkenly singing. Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely kind of, they're literally killing the messenger with this, right? I mean, they're destroying their own country, and then when somebody voices their opinion against it, they, conveniently put them away in jail. I mean, let's be honest. That meme, the vote by text meme is ridiculous and outrageous that somebody could be charged criminally for that. But the good news in America is we're just not seeing this type of, this type of absolutely over the top stuff. But
I don't know, man. I could tell you, you can get banned for singing a Christian song as long as you do it in the proximity of an abortion clinic, and you get taken as trying to obstruct what they're going about there.
Yeah,
like I'm telling you, man. We're so second cousin to this. It's unbelievable.
Somebody who's been kind of I don't know. I wouldn't say popular. I would say well known for this type of getting in trouble for opening his mouth and speaking the truth. Has been Tommy Robinson, right? And so he was invited by Gad Sad and Jordan Peterson to come and do some speeches in Canada. Well, as I guess it shouldn't surprise anybody that he gets there, does a speech, he's very successful, and then he is immediately arrested by the most polite jackbooted thugs to ever have walked the earth.
They weren't polite. They really were not.
Well, they were following orders. It was the Nuremberg defense, right? Like he said, they were very polite, and and they apologized to him afterward. They said, "Hey, listen, it's not us," But all I could hear them say is, "Oh, I'm just following orders," right? I mean, when you do this type of thing, how much power can these fascist politicians have if all the police basically say we're not following your orders because these are illegal orders?
That's
That's exactly what needs to happen. Tommy Robinson received a standing ovation in Calgary, Canada, for his speech on censorship and government outreach, but was subsequently arrested by 8 undercover and uniformed officers on an immigration charge. Robinson faces the potential detention, prompting Rebel News to secure legal representation and offer surety for his release. Efforts are underway to ensure Robinson's legal rights are respected amidst what some are perceiving politically sensitive circumstances involving the RCMP. So the irony here is and so he was released several hours later, and he did a little impromptu interview. And in that interview, he basically said it's an immigration-related charge, but he had just come through immigration, did an entry interview and all that kind of stuff, and then did nothing except for basically come to the location, do the speech, and then was immediately arrested on an immigration charge. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it sounds like it's absolutely some sort of political trumped up type of deal. It doesn't surprise me that we see this in Canada, because this is the way Canada's been going for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, it's not shocking, but we just need to understand where we are today. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, your Arctic boy is I thought this was interesting because he was filming inside the car, He's been around the block a little bit in these kind of scenarios, and so he has been, he's pretty switched on when it comes to protecting himself. He's been arrested numerous times for just journalism in England. He's had travel bans. Literally his name was the name you couldn't say on Twitter. We may get in trouble talking about him on YouTube now. I don't know. We're 2 hours in. Maybe they won't care, but so I thought this was absolutely outrageous, and this is exactly what I expect from Trudeau's Canada, honestly. Yeah, and Arter Boy says, I'm from a country that sees the bank accounts of people. I can definitely see it. Yeah, for protesting at the trucker protest. Oh, sorry. Well, I'm recording for $9.99. We already got that. Didn't I do that one already? Yeah, I did. Sorry, I need to catch up with the chat here. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right. Gents, that's all I've got on my I know that's, by the way, I know Canada's not Europe, but it feels like it. Anything else we need to bring to the attention of the folks before we say good night or good morning? Watcher?
I don't think so.
Joe? No?
I appreciate each and every one of you who are helping spread the word about my ban, and we just keep your head on a swivel, folks. I do have a final word to say before we leave.
Well, if you have a final word, then let me say, okay. Joe, looking towards the end of the week, we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about on the domestic show on Friday. Any thoughts on maybe what we'll see come out of the debate protest?
I think you're going to see some violence out in front of it. I think you're going to see an attempt to storm the building, and I think you're going to see it. They may cancel it at the last minute due to the danger posed by those poor, oppressed Hamas supporters outside.
Yeah, the terrorists supporters outside. That's exactly correct.
No. Or oppressed young folks.
Oh.
Okay. So for mine, I'm going to say that I'm going to back up and explain something. And I think hopefully Scott and Joe will know what I'm talking about, or maybe this is just a Marine Corps thing. But the Marine Corps is very highly superstitious, and and there are certain people that when they get a feeling and say, hey, I feel like maybe we shouldn't go that way, captains, colonels will turn and say, hold up, wait, stop, we need to stop. PSC fuckface just said we shouldn't go that way, because their feelings have been right in the past, right? Like they so and so stopped us from getting rocked by an IED last week that nobody saw, but he had a feeling about it, right? And I want to say that I and a lot of my other friends who are in similar sorts of positions have all been getting incredibly bad feelings for a couple days now. And I've been hearing from more and more of them that hey, something feels really not right. Keep your heads on a swivel.
On that note, I was just informed that I need to announce this special by the lady who makes the t-shirts at Tactical Wisdom. And what Watcher just said, you're already in the collapse t-shirts, will be available in both gray and green on my website. $18 each or 2 for $30. So there, y'all heard me say it. And then when she says that I didn't promote it, I did.
What an excellent deal.
What an excellent deal.
All right, gentlemen, guys, I'm if you guys have the ability to do a stream during the debate over on Rumble, that might be a fun one to do.
I will figure out what time it is and I'll try. I have a bad feeling that it's probably going to be right when I have to run Pokemon League, but
it'll probably be around 6 o'clock your time, would be my guess.
That is literally when it starts. So that would be a bad time.
Well, we'll see. If it doesn't work out, then whatever. But feel free if you want to use the channel for that. That's absolutely there for you guys. As I said,
I got some free Watcher shirts. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Actually, I'm going to put out with free watcher shirts. Okay, I'm just kidding. Just kind of just wrapping up. There's a lot of stuff going on. The world's getting very complex. There are a lot of these. I almost wanted to use the meme, Joe, that somebody posted. The Simpsons meme that says "taps a sign." It's like say it. There's going to be a series of small wars. When it. I got a good laugh out of that. Somebody posted that about Kenya. And the more you see these kind of countries falling apart, like Kenya, you're basically introducing more chaos into the world, and it makes it tougher and tougher to follow everything that's going on. So that's why hopefully we can help kind of close some of those gaps off for you guys. But as right now we're just talking about it, but it kind of goes back to the training piece that Joe's been talking about. Some of it is gear and preps and, food and basic supplies, ammunition, lights, just anything that is basic that could potentially deprive you of a normal life. You need to be thinking about. And then I can't emphasize this enough, and I will continue to do it. And I'm not saying it to get you guys to come to our thing in Montana. I'm saying it because there are events that happen in every one of your states that gives you opportunities to go and meet people that see the world in a similar light that you do and see some of the same threats. I encourage you to do that and make those in-person connections that will help you, just kind of, at the most basic, it's a support system of seeing other people that, when other people agree with you and see the same problems that you see. It does a lot of good to help boost your own resiliency. But beyond that, they become resources. And if the more local they are, they can become allies to help you in times of need. So just consider that. I think that's really important. And we tend to be a little on the kind of paranoid side sometimes on our side of the fence. So just remember, not everybody's a Fed, and sometimes people can be good friends. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for being here. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notification, and share the link out there and on your socials. It helps us out. We don't get a whole lot of push from YouTube and. Daisy Girl Williams says, can CFC reach out to Canada about doing a stream with him to get the tactical wisdom training and info out? He's wanting to get out to his hotel. Have a rinse. Yeah. Joe, I think it'd be great, if Joe, I think we've had Cannon on a bunch of times and we've got very good relations with him. I think it'd be great.
Cannon and I talk all the time. I don't know if he wants to get info out. Yeah, I'll give him a shout.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just let them know Daisy was hitting us up. All right, that's all I got for today, folks. Thank you very, very much. And as always, stay safe.